As I was saying, we will now move on to the conclusions and the closing session. This has been a very intense forum, and I think it has also been very productive. We have listened to the reflections and expertise of different European municipalities with whom we started working this morning. We also listened to the different politicians at different levels, from the local authorities to the continental politicians. We have also listened to experts from international organizations, environmental institutions. So we have brought together here in Seville a variety of experts and actors who are responsible for this effort to move quickly, but with a clear mind, to move towards a efficient and innovative model in which the circular economy is possible. A traditional way of making visible this cooperation, this collective effort, is to draft a declaration that will remind us what are our commitments, and at the same time to use it as a roadmap for anyone else who would like to join us. This declaration allows us to also move outside these spaces and to make people aware of what we are doing, to share with the citizens who many times are not aware of the ongoing debate or efforts. So in this way, we can share with the citizens our concerns and also our hopes. The Declaration of Seville that was signed this morning was presented to the media in that during the coffee break. I think is the best, is the jewel in the crown. I have been asked to read the Declaration of Seville before I give the floor to the representatives who will close this forum. The European Commission and the European Parliament have approved a package of initiatives for circular economy in Europe. With this purpose, we aim to develop a new economic paradigm that will close the cycle of design, production, consumption, and waste management, in this way creating an ecological and competitive Europe. Although the fight against climate change and the impact it has on biodiversity and the increasing lack of resources are a global problem that must be managed by national governments, the cities and peoples of Europe are also concerned about this. The sustainable development and its interrelation with the rural world are essential elements for the development of innovation and implementation of a solution to transit towards a low-carbon economy that would allow us to conserve our natural resources. According to the United Nations, 70% of the population will live in cities by 2050. The circular economy will transform our waves into products that will allow us to overcome the problems of linear economy. We cannot build our future on the model of collect, build, and throw away. The EU hopes to ensure that the waste and use of resources will be reduced, and that the resource will be maintained within the productive cycle when it reaches the end of life, so that it can be reused and continue to create value. In September 2015, the city of Paris called on the world to create a circular economy. This has been documented by Amsterdam, Lisbon, Rome, and Copenhagen. Therefore, the cities present today here on the Forum on a Circular Economy, the commitment of cities, embrace this commitment and propose a urban development model that is inclusive and resilient, increasing social economic activities that make a better use of the natural resources, leading to a greater greater quality green jobs. We also, the City for Circular Economies, which was mentioned in Paris in 2015 and also supported by us. Support the development of circular economy, which is in the hands of local authorities because they are the ones who can best prevent the environmental impact, working hand in hand with the citizens. We will increase our efforts to minimize and mitigate climate change and the impact it has on our citizens. We also state that moving towards circular economy means that we will also be able to reduce greenhouse gases. We will request the economic and political support of the EU and its member states to ensure the development of local policies in favor of a circular economy that will allow us to create national and international policies for cooperation. We will also put into play local strategies for circular economy leading to zero waste, and especially reducing organic waste, the promotion of eco-design, prevention of waste, promoting the reuse of materials, and a greater public procurement of green matters. We will also support the collaboration between the different authorities so that they can share best practices between the different cities within the framework of the strategy for circular economy. We would like to also involve the scientific community in this process towards a circular economy to implement local strategies. We also want to foster multi-level governance levels by raising the awareness and participation of our citizens in the different local actions leading towards circular economy, transforming the consumers into responsible users, and stressing the importance of the service provided and the product bought. We also foster public-private partnerships to create alliances between the different actors at the private and the public sector, civil society, and the private sector. 15th March 2017, Declaration of Seville. This is the declaration that you have created so that your commitment can be made known. Both within and outside this forum. And we have now reached a point in which we will be closing this session. I have here with me Alfonso Villares Bermúdez, who is the president of the Environment Commission of the EFMP, and mayor of Cervo, Lugo, and the mayor of Cervo, and president of the Spanish network of Ciudades for Climate. I would like to give the floor now to Alfonso. Good afternoon to one and all. Wow. Cervo is close to Sargadelos, so that you more or less know where my town is located. I have been working 20 years in the public administration, and it would seem as if I'm not talking about circular economy, but I want to talk about it from a different vision, different perspective. I want to highlight the work that is being done by the different elected officials throughout Spain, and this work is something that society does not appreciate, and this is something that is clear when we see the different surveys in which the people consider politics and politicians at the bottom of the ranking. Nonetheless, I believe that this is a message. I think that this is a message that has to be changed. There are, in any society, you will find people who are not behaving correctly. I firmly believe in the work I am doing. That is why I'm talking about the 20 years that I have been in the public administration. But I think the best thing that society has is politics, because politics allows us to be the owners of our own destiny. When we talk about politics, it would appear that there are different social classes, and the politics are a class in themselves in which some are good, some are bad, some are very bad. And it seems as if there are very few good politicians. But but society thinks this way about politics. Many of you are my colleagues. You know exactly what I am talking about. And those of you who are not elected officials, well, this is the message I want to send out to you. When I say that politics is the best thing we have, is because it's true. There's no other alternative for governance in our society. There is simply no other alternative. And those of us who are the representatives of our citizens, not only mayors, which is my case, we are the representatives of our citizens. And many of the things that have been mentioned yesterday and today, we talked about funding, we talked about deficits, where we can get the money or the funds to solve the problems, and especially the problems that we have been talking about. The money comes from us. Money doesn't simply fall from the heavens or grow on a tree. That is something that everyone should be aware of. We also mention that citizens must have information. Juan de Ávila said this a few minutes ago. Yes, people must have information, but I would go beyond that. Citizens must participate of every decision made by our society. If this is not the case, and if the people don't believe in this, then it is going to be very difficult to achieve our goals, be it waste, be it social problems that we always talk about and that appear in the media, immigration, water, whatever kind of problem. But people must be aware that the money that is available to solve these problems is money that comes from each and every one of us. And what is truly important is the policies that are implemented by the cities and town. And the smaller the town, the better, because they are the ones who are capable of making it more participatory, and they can be also more efficient. But the country is ours. The country belongs to all the citizens. When we talk about an agreement between mayors, we're talking about agreement between our citizens. And no one is going to be permanently here. We are here today, and the future will be our children and our grandchildren. We must be part of society. We must take ownership of what we want to do. This is what I want to convey to all of you, not only the politicians who are here, but the people here from the private or public sector who are not necessarily elected officials. So,
in Valencia, where we went on a visit to talk about contamination, about pollution, contamination of the air that we breathe, I was asked a question about a problem that we face, basically climate change. It was said that in 2015, the Spanish Ornithological Society stated that the sparrow was the bird which had to be taken into account due to the effects of climate change, for a simple reason, because evidently the sparrow population in our towns and cities in particular, it's a very urban bird, and we had to look into the air to see that the climate was really changing. We had to be aware of this, and aware that everything that we were talking about here would have to involve absolutely everyone. And just anecdotally, I was also mentioning this to the mayor of Seville, that we were getting off the plane. It was raining here in Seville, and in Galicia it was really sunny. And he said, well, there's no way, there's climate change going on here. It's evident, but if there's climate change, and what we're talking about today is an action that we all have to carry out. All of society has to perform these actions to reduce this as much as possible, to ensure that this doesn't happen. And ensure that this action, to develop this action, it's essential for all of us to be aware of the seriousness of this and be aware of how important this society is for this to be the case. And this is one of the problems that concerns society. This is the reason why I would like to thank the organisers for the organisation of this event, in this case FEMP, Ecoembes, and in particular the City Council of Seville, its mayor. Seville is an ideal place to do absolutely anything to talk about circular economy, the hospitality of Seville's people. And here in the person of the mayor, well, we all had the opportunity to talk with him over the last couple of days. We would like to thank absolutely everyone. We would like to thank all of the different participants in this event and everyone who's backstage, let's say, all of the people in the FEMP and the different collaborators, whether it's in the city councils, the town councils. I'd like to thank you all, because this is all basically what I want to say. Together we can reach these achievements, but provided that we all participate in this together. Thank you. Okay. Well, it's time to say goodbye. It's time to, in this case, bring this event to a close. And I think the best way to do this has been the reading of the Seville Declaration. I'm not going to repeat anything that's already been mentioned this morning, but to conclude in some way the work that we've performed. As always, I think we always have to work hard, and we have to set targets for the future and also set targets for the coming days and note things down that we have to take back to our municipalities, organizations, entities or institutions and put them into practice, and also take away any messages that have you found interesting. First of all, it's important to structure what lies ahead of us based on documents or on the conceptual framework, which I believe to be essential. It's been renewed, updated, and we have to read it. And when I say read, I mean we shouldn't just talk about it. We have to read the documents and reflect a little individually on them with our teams, because I think it's important. And I'm saying so, and I apply it to myself, and I'll also apply this to my collaborators. We have to review the objectives of sustainable development objectives. We also have to review the Quito Global Urban Agenda and also the package, the circular economy package. We also have to examine those 3 documents and also the Paris agreements in relation to climate change. We have to review those 4 main blocks of ideas and reflections, commitments and objectives, and we have to encompass these and frame them in our respective territories. The qualitative leap that we would like to make with the meeting here in Seville is precisely that, namely the role of local governments once the conceptual framework and state objectives have been set is precisely that. They have to be the protagonists of the implementation of those objectives. That is the difference between the period of pacts, agreements, consensuses with respect to the period that we're now immersed in. And now it's time to put these policies into practice. And when it comes to actually taking action, actions cannot just be things that can be pulled out of the air, or using structures that are not well embedded in the ground and rooted in the ground. The thing that I'm most familiar with is the town council, the town hall. That's where the problems lie, and that's where the needs exist. And that is where each of us, take into account our specific characteristics in our respective territories, that is where we have to implement our proposals within this conceptual framework at municipal or local entity level, the area for which we have responsibility. So Seville, we hope, will remain on your minds. That was the objective of the FEMP, namely for local governments to pick up the baton and follow on from the initiatives that have been taken by the states and regions in this entire process. And hereinafter, and in collaboration with the state, we also have to lead a process based on collaboration so that we can start to implement specific projects which will allow us to achieve the key objectives that we've identified in that conceptual framework. Thereafter, and based on the Seville Declaration, which is simply a call of attention, and Juan, please correct me if I'm wrong, it will be analyzed in the governing board of the FEMP so that it can be fully endorsed by the Federation. And this is something that we heard yesterday at the meeting of the Council of Governors of the Network for Climate Change, for climate, sorry. It's important so that this can actually lead to a debate on the declaration, and in this case promote its adoption and implementation during the plenary meetings of the local governments, so that this can be followed by a series of debates. Not agreements, but debates, discussions, incorporating different people's opinions, so that these agreements can be adopted unanimously, so that we can also accompany this initiative. And I've undertaken with the Mayoress of Paris that we're going to perform a dual exercise. On the one hand, we're going to discuss and coordinate activities in relation to the circular economy project, which is what's coming out of this event, which is, at the end of the day, a project which is supported by the European Union. And we're also going to support the Paris Declaration in this respect. So the Paris City Council has given the Spanish Federation of Municipalities and Provinces the possibility of organizing in collaboration with the MacArthur Foundation to promote the call for a circular economy, which will also serve as a support instrument for the network of cities, which also endorse the Circular Economy Manifesto, around which we've organized this event and for which we will organize the corresponding work. We've been able to collaborate in this way, and with this foundation I just mentioned, we will be able to begin to develop specific activities in municipalities which adhere to this manifesto. We're also going to have specific work groups on circular economy, on financing, and either within the network of cities for the climate or other networks or forums or environmental institutions, we will try to coordinate our activities to ensure that this can result in specific projects which can act as, let's say, lighthouse projects in the municipalities where we're going to work on this subject. So there's a lot of work there ahead. It's going to be a complex task, very broad series of tasks. So I think either the French get their act together, or there's going to be more municipalities that are going to adhere. There's going to be a contradiction there in the municipalities that adhere to the Manifesto of Paris. But anyway, I would like to thank everyone for the great interest that the Paris City Council has taken as a city which is leading the change in policy regarding climate change, and its mayoress, which also presides the C40, this organization of cities, which in this case is supporting the climate change policy. And they're following very closely the process that's taking place here in Spain. This morning I said this, and I'm firmly committed to this. Projects such as this one can unite. I think that the European project needs these type of projects, because they have to act as a cornerstone of the Europeist initiative, along with countries such as France, Italy and Portugal. So I think that this is a very good embryo and a good opportunity for us to provide impetus to this initiative in a positive sense, which is what we would all like to see. So I'd like to conclude there. I think there's a long way ahead still. I would like to thank the FEMP for having chosen this theme to discuss this here in Seville, and also the City Council for organizing this together with the network of Cities for the Climate. I think that this is also an example of good collaboration between the FEMP and the other institutions. And this has clearly been done with the support, collaboration, funding of COEMBES, which also has allowed us to ensure that we have been able to receive many participants from different cities who've been able to travel here to Seville to participate in this event, together with other integral management systems, and provide sufficient body to this event. So I hope that you will also take a good memory of this meeting. There's still a lot of work for us to do, and I'd now like to hand the baton on to the next city, where we will hold the next event on circular economy, which will give us the opportunity to discuss in depth the institutional cooperation that we're trying to promote here. That's all. Thank you very much.
Hala, cierra tú.
Después del alcalde de Sevilla.
Tú eres el jefe de la FEMP.
Le decía.
Yes, the mayor of Seville said, well, what can I say after that? Well, Being in a closing event with a mayor of a city is very difficult, having to speak after the mayor, but I've been asked by Juan to speak to you in last place. First of all, thanks. I would like to thank everyone who's come today and all of you for having placed your trust in us, and for everyone who's enabled this event to happen in FEMP, in Ecoembes, in Seville City Council. I believe that these type of conferences are important. And also a very warm welcome from the president of FEMP, who was unable to be here. And he asked me just to express his greetings to all of you. The mayor of Seville and also the mayor of Cervo mentioned this. Sustainability, the circular economy, the implementation of the SSDRs cannot take place without the support of local entities. And even though they say this as mayors, it has a lot of merit. But I think that the Secretary General of the UN saying this is even more important. The Sustainable Development Objectives will be implemented and achieved if local authorities take on board the responsibility for their implementation and putting into practice. For this purpose, to achieve this, we need that other administrations at regional and central level collaborate with us. We want that collaboration, and we would like to offer our collaboration in return. The Spanish Federation of Municipalities and Provinces, FEMP, will do its utmost to ensure that all Spanish local authorities, from the biggest to the smallest, have the best and most detailed information about how, as the Seville mayor said, that these objectives that we have set at theoretical level can be put into practice. They have to be implemented and executed. I'm sure that we will achieve this thanks to the excellent work that's done in the Environmental Committee, which is presided by Alfonso in the FEMP, and also the magnificent work that is done and will continue to be done by the Network of Cities for Climate, which is presided by Juan Espadas. With the leadership of the Spanish Network of Cities for Climate, the RECC, and with that information and these tested best practices, it's in that manner that the FEMP will be able to provide all of its members and partners with the best information as possible. And finally, since this seems to be an excellent initiative, namely the organization of days dedicated to circular economy, Oscar, I believe that we should think about this a little more and just not leave this as one event. We should try to ensure that in coming years we can continue talking about sustainability, about circular economy, and also local Spanish entities. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.